Ms. Cole?
Yes, Your Honor. We had discussed marking exhibits with the next, or the first witness. We only have one exhibit, so if the court wants to proceed rather than marking them at this time, I think Mr. Schulte and I could mark them
I
briefly.
would like to proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. People call Terri O'Donnell to the stand.
Members of the jury, you'll notice that the witnesses are sequestered. That's it. Parties, so no witness can proceed in testimony in other witness unless they previously testified. Ms. O'Donnell. Would you step forward? You stand right there, raise your right hand, and swear by the court.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please have a seat here for the witness stand.
Good afternoon. Please state your name. Terri. And could you spell your last name for the record, please?
O''Donnell.
And what is your occupation as a mom?
I'm a teacher at the West Hanger County School District.
And did you know an individual by the name of Christopher Regan?
Yes.
How did you know Christopher Regan?
He was my boyfriend.
And how long did you know him?
Christopher and I started dating February 2013.
At the time you started dating, where was Christopher Regan living?
In Sutton's, Michigan.
Was he working while he was down in Sutton's Bay?
Yes, he was.
And where was he employed?
He was working at a fiber optic laser corporation as a supervisor in Traverse City.
And do you know anything about his background with respect to prior to working in Sutton's or Traverse City?
He had worked prior to that, he worked at a church, and then prior to that, he was a master sergeant in the Air Force
And do you know how long he was in the Air Force?
for 20 years.
You indicated that you started dating in February of 2013, is that correct?
Yes.
At some point in time, did he move to Iron River, Michigan?
Yes, he did.
And when did that occur?
Right before Thanksgiving, November of 2014.
2014 or 2013?
I'm sorry, 2013, thank you.
And when he moved to Iron River, was he employed in Iron River?
He found a job at Oldenburg Lakeshore in Iron River as a supervisor.
And when did he start there?
He started there in December 2013.
How would you describe a person's personality?
Chris was really very easygoing. He loved life. We had lots of fun together. Very intelligent. He studied hard when he was at the labor company. He was taking classes at the university outside Traverse City. He was caring, kind.
And what kinds of things would you and Chris do while you were dating?
We traveled. We like to travel a lot, so we went up to Marquette, and toured around Lake Superior. We went to the ice caves up north. We went down to Appleton. We did the wineries down in Sutton's Bay and Traverse City. We went to like Sleepy Bear, the dunes down there. We went out a lot.
Did you go out to eat as well?
Yes, we did.
And would you go out around Iron County?
We went out Iron River, Eagle River for supper. He attended the football and basketball games with me at West Hanger schools.
On the screen, is that a picture of Chris Regan?
Yes, it is.
Do you know when that picture was taken?
Actually, 3 years ago, February 15th, we went up to up north, and that's at Meredith Island. We had taken my Tahoe across Lake Superior on the ice road and toured the island, and I took that of him out on the island. And then we continued up and did the ice caves
Is he,
weekend.
is he holding something in his hand in that picture?
He carried his camera everywhere. We went, he loved to take pictures, and he has his sunglasses on. That's his camera, that's in the hand, that's inside the pocket.
When did you stop seeing each other?
The end of April in 2014.
Where, if you know, did Chris Regan live when he lived in Iron River?
He lived above the Jubilee, it was Family Foods at that time, in the apartments above the store.
Is that on the corner of US 2 and 4th Avenue?
Yes, it is.
Did you remain friends after you
Yes,
and
we
Chris broke up? How often would you see or talk to him after you broke up?
We talked or texted 2 to 3 times a week.
Did you contact the police, the Iron River Police, on or about October 27th, 2014?
Yes, I did.
Why did you contact the police on that day?
I hadn't heard from Chris for 2 weeks. He was missing, and I had been in I had checked his apartment because I hadn't heard from him, and it was disheveled. I was very concerned that something happened to him.
Did you try and contact him during that 2-week period?
Yes, I did.
Were you able to reach him?
No, I was not.
Did you try and contact him via phone or via text? Phone call.
The last time I had texted or heard from Chris was October 14th, and between then and the 27th, when I reported him missing, I tried texting, calling, went to the apartment, and I did not hear back from him.
How many times would you say you went to or drove by the apartment during that time frame?
Almost daily. I worked part-time at the store and lived above also, and I would come in the back where he had his vehicles parked.
And when you say vehicles, what vehicles did Chris Regan own?
He had a Genesis, a Hyundai Genesis, and then an old Mazda truck.
And what color was the truck?
It was white,
And what color was the Genesis?
blackish gray.
So when you tried to contact him in those 2 weeks, what would happen when you tried to call him?
The phone went, it didn't ring or anything, it just went directly to voicemail. My text just never returned.
Was that unusual for you and Chris?
Normally Chris would return a text, usually within the hour, unless he was at work or busy, but I would always hear from him.
You indicated that your last conversation or text with him was on October 14th. Approximately what time was that?
It's at 6 o'clock in the morning.
And what was the conversation regarding?
He was telling me that on October 15th, the next day, he had a doctor's appointment. He had gotten a new job, which he had told me on October 10th, and he had to go for a physical on the 15th, and as long as he passed his physical, he would be leaving. And he was hoping to start his new position November 1st.
So your concern during this time period, when did you go and check his apartment and actually go inside?
On Friday, October 24th.
Were you able to get into the apartment right away?
No, I was not. On Friday, October 24th, I tried to get into the apartment, and the apartment was locked. Normally, it's on the Jubilee Foods where he was renting from, and we usually have keys, extra keys for the apartment, and the keys were not in the lockbox. And so I contacted Zach Stuck, who was the store manager, and he said he would have Willard, who was a locksmith in Iron River, come and open up the apartment, but Willard wouldn't be able to get there till Monday.
So you were not able to get into the apartment on Friday the 24th?
No.
During that time frame, October 14th to Friday the 24th, when you had driven by almost every day, had you seen both vehicles at the apartment?
I did not, only his truck was there. I didn't find that unusual though, because Chris was working 10 to 12-hour days at Lakeshore, and he was in the process of trying to move. So I assumed that he was just very busy running errands with the car.
Did you receive some information about where the car was located?
Yes, I did. On Thursday the 23rd, I was talking to one of my friends, and he had mentioned that he saw the Genesis at the park and riding gates.
Based on that information, did you go to the parking ride and dates?
Thursday night, I drove out there to verify that it was Chris's car. And it was, I looked inside and Chris wasn't there. And the car, his water bottle was there, his spittoon and note, his knee brace. And that's why I became alarmed that something happened to him. It's very unusual.
Do you know how Chris felt about that car?
Yeah, he loved his car. The car was everything to him. It was kind of a status symbol, and it was the one thing that he still had after the divorce. Everything that was his. It was his baby.
So you became alarmed. What did you do next? Well, Friday the 24th, you went to the apartment.
I tried to get into the apartment Friday the 24th to make sure that he was okay.
Did you do anything in between Thursday and Friday and the following Monday?
I kept trying to call him and texting.
So we get to Monday the 27th. What, if anything, did you do on that day?
I went to work on Monday, the 27th of October, and Zach Stuck had texted me in the late afternoon stating that Willard was able to get the apartment unlocked. And so when I got off of work, I went and got my mother, Carol Trussetter, and we went up to the apartment. I went inside.
What did you observe when you went inside the apartment?
The apartment was completely disheveled. There was a folder on the floor that I pushed when I opened up the door. Dirty dishes in the sink, the cabinets were open. There was stuff spewed on the bed. It was not how Chris kept the apartment at all.
He was in the process of packing. Had you ever packed with Chris Regan before?
Yes, I had.
And when did that occur?
In December 2013, when he got the job at Lakeshore, he put his home in Sutton's Bay up for sale. So I helped him pack up his home. It was very organized. We did one room at a time, packed everything, labeled the box, bubble wrap. Items that he didn't want, we brought to the garage. Had a garage sale that weekend. Everything was very neat and organized.
Knowing what you knew about how Chris Regan packed, did it look like this was just someone in the middle of packing to move?
No, it looked like somebody had went through the apartment.
How did Chris keep his apartment?
His apartment was always neat. Anytime I was over and we cooked supper, after eating, we did dishes immediately. His bed was always made, clothes were hung.
You indicated that there was a folder on the floor when you pushed open the door. What did the folder look like?
It was just from the blue folders that kind of open up, and he had medical papers in there, papers for his appointment. There was a note from Dr. Klein regarding Percocet that he was taking for his knee.
Well, you say Percocet he was taking for his knee. What was wrong with his knee?
In August, Chris was having issues with his knee, and in August, Dr. Klein did surgery at Barron County Hospital. I had brought Chris to the appointment and stayed with him, and he had to have a knee brace, and his knee was still bothering him. So Dr. Klein actually wanted to go in and do surgery again, and Chris did not want to have surgery again on the knee.
You indicated it was in August that the surgery occurred. Do you know whether that was the beginning of August or the end of August?
It was like the third week of August, I believe.
And the folder, I think you mentioned it was a blue folder. Are you sure on the color?
No.
I want to take you back for a second to when you looked in the vehicle. Was there anything on the seat in the vehicle?
On the passenger seat was a yellow sticky note.
Was there any significance to the presence of the note in the car to you?
Yes, I picked up the note, I looked at the note, and it was directions. I told Officer Barrett that was with me at the time that wherever those directions were, that was the last place Chris ever went. Chris always, anytime we went anywhere, he did anything, he'd always write directions on the note, on a sticky note. He loved sticky notes. And once he drove there, he knew where he was going. He didn't need directions again. Every time we go somewhere new, he'd write it down.
For clarification, you indicated that you had picked up the note. Did you go back, did you initially go to the parking lot by yourself?
I went to the parking right initially on Thursday by myself, Thursday evening. Officer Barrett and I went Monday, October 24th, after we had went through the apartment, after I reported him missing.
So you go in with your mom on Monday the 27th and it's disheveled, in disarray. What did you do upon seeing the apartment?
After I saw the apartment, I told my mom I need to go to the police and report to Chris something had happened to him. So I went to the police station and ran into Detective Frizzo outside of the station. And she told me to go in and speak to Officer Barrett. Cindy, I may be pronouncing that wrong, I'm sorry. Officer Cindy Barrett, and she would take my statement.
Now, you indicated that Chris worked at Oldenburg. Do you know what shift he worked generally?
He normally worked day shift. He went in very early in the morning between 5 and 6 a.m. But he worked 10 to 12 hours a day.
You indicated that you talked to him on October 14th, 2014 via text. Was he at work that day when you were texting him, or was he home or somewhere else?
I assumed he was at work.
But you don't know that for sure?
I do not know that for sure. I didn't ask him. But he would text me in the morning. After he got to work, he would send me a little text.
After you and Chris broke up, were you aware of any people he was dating or he may have had in his life? Any women?
No. Oh, can I verify that? Okay. The first person that I was made aware that Christopher might have been seeing was October 23rd, when I was talking to my friend that said there were rumors at Lakeshore that he might have been seeing Kelly. And that was the first time I had heard her name.
Did you make officers aware of that?
Yes, I did.
Were you aware whether Christopher Regan had any relatives or family?
Yes, he had 2 sons,
Do you know what their names are?
Cameron and Christopher.
And were you able to make, or did you try to make contact with the sons?
I sent them a message on Facebook asking if they had heard from their father and telling them that I had not heard from him and I was very concerned about his safety.
And did you receive a response at that time?
No, I did not.
So you go to Iowa River PD on the 27th. Approximately what time was that?
4:30, 5 o'clock.
Are you aware of whether Chris ever gave keys to his apartment or his vehicle to any other person?
No,
When you were dating, did you have keys to his apartment or his vehicle?
no, I did not.
Do you know where he kept his apartment keys?
I had bought him it was a book that you open it up and it's hollow inside. And he had that sitting in the kitchen on a counter. When you come into the apartment, there was a big like archway that went into the kitchen. There was a cabinet right there. And that's where the box would sit, and he would drop his keys, his wallet, anything of importance, so that he would need going to and from, when he'd leave the apartment.
When you say drop his keys, would that include car keys?
Car keys also.
Had you ever ridden in the Hyundai Genesis with him?
Yes.
Okay.
Often.
Do you know how his car was started?
It was a push button. He had the little fob, key fob.
Okay, when you say push button, do you push the key fob when the car starts, or do you actually get in the car and push a button inside the
I had
car?
to press the brake and push the button inside the car.
How often did he drive the pickup truck?
When he first started working at Oldenburg, he took the pickup truck because he thought that the Hyundai Genesis would get people the wrong idea about him. Then he didn't use the pickup truck except for the summertime when he was kayaking, or we were going hiking, or he was going to use his bicycle.
When you say bicycle, what type of bike are you talking about?
Chris liked to, it was a pedal bike, but he used to race bikes, and he liked to do off-road and train riding.
So you talked to the officer at Iowa River Police Department. Did you and the officer leave the department? Did you and the officer leave the police department?
Yes, we did. After I told Officer Garrett my concerns. We went over from the department, we went over to look at the apartment Chris lived in.
And did you take Officer Garrett through the apartment?
Yes, I did.
And did you leave the apartment then and go somewhere else?
Yes, that's when we went to the parking ride in Bates to look at the car.
When you and Chris were dating, had he ever parked at the parking lot before?
Never. He was very, even when we would go to eat at restaurants, he always parked further away from the other cars in the back part of the parking lot because he didn't want the car to get dent or someone to accidentally door it.
During the time you and Chris dated, did you ever know him to be depressed or suicidal?
No, I did not. And in October, Chris was so happy about this new job and moving down to North Carolina. He was very excited.
Did he ever discuss taking anyone with him on this trip?
No, he did not. He had plans to meet his son Christopher in North Carolina, and he was going to live with him. His son's going to live with him.
When you dated Chris, did he have jewelry or other items that he wore often?
He wore a silver watch all the time. It was a little bit bigger. And he had a brown, multicolored brown necklace that he would wear all the time.
Are you aware whether he wore glasses or contacts?
He wore glasses.
And what type of glasses are these? Like prescription glasses, reading glasses? What are we talking about?
He had reading glasses. He had several small pair of cheap reading glasses, the wire frames. And then when he began working at Lakeshore, he did get a pair of glasses for work through a doctor.
What did those glasses look like?
They were silver, a little bit thicker, or pewterish looking, a little bit thicker framed glasses.
Was there anything else to your knowledge that he habitually carried with him other than the jewelry that he wore?
On the camera that you see in the picture, he always had a water bottle with him.
What about a cell phone? Did he have a cell phone?
He went everywhere with his cell phone also.
What kind of cell phone did he have?
Initially, when we first started dating, he had just an old cell phone that you couldn't lock or anything. Then he would take pictures with once in a while. And then in July of 2014, he got a new phone, which was an iPhone that he could lock and took better pictures.
You mentioned the spittoon in your car. Do you acknowledge that Chris Regan used chewing tobacco?
Yes, he did.
How often, do you know?
He chewed every day.
Do you know what kind?
It was a Copenhagen brand.
To your knowledge, was Chris Regan in the habit of carrying anything for luck?
He used to carry a rabbit's foot. He showed it to me when he was still living in Suttons Bay. And I know that he had it at the apartment in Iron River.
When you say rabbit's foot, was there anything unusual about this rabbit's foot?
It was colored.
And was it one of those rabbit's feet that you would buy at a store that are just a fake rabbit's foot, or was it a real rabbit's foot?
It was a real rabbit's foot. It did have a chain on it. That had fallen off or he had lost a long time ago, so he just kept it in his pocket.
At some point in time, were you requested to go to the Iron River Police Department to view some items?
Yes.
Okay. What did you view while you were at the Iron River Police Department?
Just recently, his glasses and the rabbit's foot.
And you said his glasses, did those glasses appear to be similar to the ones Chris normally wore?
They look like the ones that Chris wore for work, yes.
And did the rabbit's foot appear to be similar to one that you knew him to carry?
Yes, it was.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you. Cross-examination, Mr. Shoki.
Good afternoon, Ms. O'Donnell. Never hear Ms. O'Donnell, right? Any issues? Okay, just want to make sure. kind of soft spoken. Now, you indicated that you dated Mr. Regan until roughly the end of, until about 2014, is that correct?
Yes,
And when again was that? In 2014 that you broke up?
in April 2014.
Thank you. And if you don't mind me asking, what was the cause of the breakup? What was the reason for your relationship ending?
We had some differences about family and just some personal issues. But I guess I'd rather not go into.
Fair enough, that's good enough. No, but after the breakup, you fair to say that you kept a friendship up with Mr. Regan.
Yes, we did.
And as friends, you talk, correct?
We still talk. We went out to eat.
Still saw each other,
Yes,
talk about big things in each other's lives.
correct.
At any point, again, you mentioned here today that October 21st, 23rd, 2014, it's the first time that you'd heard the name Kelly Cochran.
That's correct.
So by name, Mr. Regan never mentioned Ms. Cochran, would that be fair to say?
That is correct.
Okay. How about a big description? Did you mention, gee, I'm dating this woman I work with or anything like that?
No, he did not. Actually, Chris and I never spoke about anybody else that we had seen when we broke up, and I think that was out of mutual respect of each other. We talked about what was going on with work, with my parents. He helped out working out in the apartments. I was taking a trip to China. We discussed that.
Okay, so if it were not unusual for you to hear about anyone that you've seen or anything like that, and vice versa, you wouldn't tell him either.
Correct.
Probably know the answer, so right, but I'll ask. I'm assuming prior to this case, you have not heard the name Jason Cochran from Chris. Would that be fair to say as well?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that you helped Chris move up here from Suttons Bay, is that correct?
Yes.
And I think you kind of described that move as very organized and methodical. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, it was.
And that was when he was packing up his house that he had sold.
Correct.
And were you aware of the process that he went through selling this house? Is that a long or drawn-out process, or did something happen like that?
No, actually, he sold it on a short-term sale. And his home had been for sale prior to this, multiple times actually. But when he put it up for the short-term sale, he sold the home within 2 months.
Okay. But he had some time to pack up and be organized and label boxes, put the kitchen stuff with the kitchen stuff and things of that nature.
When we started moving the home out in December, the house was not yet sold. We had an offer and we had people that were looking at it. So we did take our time, yes.
Okay. But how would you compare that to the amount of time that he had, if you know, when he took this new job in North Carolina? How much time do you think he had to pack up and move?
He had given a 2-week notice. He had told me October 10th that he had accepted a job offer in Asheville, North Carolina. And so from October 10th to November 1st, he actually had quite a bit of time. In his apartment, besides kitchen items, his clothing, TV, a chair, dining table, there wasn't a lot of things in the apartment. Everything that we had moved up in the house was in a storage unit. He also had a couple things stored at the warehouse my parents owned. And he had asked if some items from the apartment could also be placed in the warehouse. So I was aware of his pack and the procedures he was going through.
Okay, very good. Now, when you dated, I think you indicated his followers, never a time that he gave you a key. Would that be fair to say he never gave you a key so you could come and go as you pleased?
No.
I'm talking on a long-term basis. Was there ever a time he said, you know, I'm working late or I'm running somewhere, here's a key, let yourself in?
To the first apartment that he lived in upstairs, I had opened up, I had allowed myself into that apartment before when we were going to meet. but it was not with his key, it was with the keys from the store.
Okay, but and your mom owned that apartment, the apartment building.
I had a spare set of keys for the first apartment he lived in when he was first moving things in, when we started. He initially, when he came to Iron River, he was at my house for 1 month, so he still had things at my home, yes.
So it's fair to say, as a mom having access and ownership of the apartment, that perhaps you would have needed a key from Mr. Regan to get in, that you could have borrowed your mom's key or something of that nature.
I would never go into the apartment if Chris did not know that I was going in.
Sure, I understand, but the scenario that you gave here, that you indicated that there was a time that,
I did have the spare set of keys from the store when Chris first moved into the apartments. Yes, I did.
Okay, thanks, that's what I was looking for.
When we were done getting his things from my home, those spare keys did go back into the lockbox.
Very good. Wasn't me applying anything else. So, all right, thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Thank you. Any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. You indicated in your response to Mr. Schulte's questioning that you and Mr. Regan still, after work, continue to go out to eat or do things sometimes.
Yes, we do.
How often was that?
About once a week until July. I was gone to July. In July, I was gone to Europe for a month.
And then after you returned from Europe, did you continue in that fashion?
After I came back from Europe, I saw Chris twice and we talked. And then he went in for his surgery on his leg.
And after his surgery, did you and Chris continue to have dinner once a week?
We did not, no. After his surgery, it was a time for me to start getting ready for school. And Chris and I tried to make arrangements, but between my getting my classroom ready and the beginning of school, his work schedule, we were not able to get together. And that's one of the reasons also that alarmed me was because we had set up, when I talked about October 14th through texting, that once he got back from his doctor appointment on the 15th, we were going to arrange to get together and go to eat before he moved.
Do you know what his start date in Asheville, North Carolina was?
November 1st is when they expected him.
They expected him on November 1st?
Yes.
What day was he supposed to leave Iron County, do you know?
No, I do not.
Would November 1st possibly be the day he was supposed to leave Iron County?
It could have been. He had given Lake Shore a 2-week notice. And so, remember, he was working there till the end of October.
After Chris's knee surgery, did you have any, or did you offer him any assistance to help with follow-up care? Was he able to drive?
His doctor appointment that was set up, following that I was supposed to bring him to. And I was on apartment remote, I was running late, and he did drive himself to his follow-up appointment with Dr. Klein. I had brought food up to him initially when he was first laid up, when I first brought him home from the hospital.
Do you know how long he was supposed to be off the knee?
2 weeks.
And you said that you thought that that was around the 3rd week of August that that surgery occurred?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any discuss? Okay, Ms. O'Donnell, thank you. You're free to stay and watch the proceedings, or please don't discuss your testimony with anybody that has not testified yet.
Do you want to continue, Your Honor?
Yes.
Your Honor, I do need to get a piece of evidence from the evidence room. Get a piece of evidence from the evidence room.
Where's the evidence from?
It's right there.
Members of the jury, this is convenient time to take our afternoon break. I'm going to excuse you to the jury room. I understand there are a few smokers on the jury. If you do go out and have a cigarette, please go with the bailiff, Mr. Yeakel. Again, remind